Hello, hello, everybody. Come on in, come on in. Hello, everybody. Hey, y'all. Hey, come on in the room. Uh-oh. I wish I could sing, y'all. I would be singing y'all under the benches if I could sing in real life. Come on in. We're going to have a good conversation tonight. And you are going to be my special guest. I don't have a guest tonight because it's going to be you. So we're going to have some fun tonight. So if you are willing to be my guest, just post in the comments, say yes, yes, yes. Hey, Trisha. Hey. Yep. So just post. If you want to play along with the game tonight and answer some of the questions with me, just post that you're going to join me tonight so I know that I'm not going to be on here by myself. So hello, hello. So tonight we are going to be talking about love since it's February and it's the month of love, or the month that we usually celebrate love in our culture. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So for those of you tuning in, my name is Siobhan Carter. I am the You Relationship Coach, and this is Relationship Conversations. I do this every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. And usually I have a guest on, but tonight I just wanted to have an open forum and just hear from you. And we're going to talk about love, the 4-letter word. So come on in, make yourself comfortable. I got some questions lined up. So if you're going to join me, just chime in, put it in the chat that you want to participate in tonight's conversation. I want it to be interactive. I have some questions for you that we're going to play along with some questions about love. I just want to hear from your perspective about love. So we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff concerning love. All right. So chime in, come on in. Let me know that you'll be joining me tonight. Okay. All right. Let's get going. So tonight, y'all, we're going to talk about love. And so my first question is, hey, girl, you see my hair? You see it? It's growing, huh? I'm so excited. So I can do like this. That's the only reason why I want long hair, so I could do it like this. I'm silly, but yeah, I'm loving the growth, how much it's growing. So, all right, y'all. So tonight we're going to talk about love. And first of all, I want to know how you define love. Like when you think of the word love, what definition comes to mind? How do you define love? So put that in the chat so that I can hear. I'm whipping it, right? So put that in the chat so I can see what your definition of love, because we hear so many different definitions, and I want to know what your definition is. And it doesn't have to be based on anything, but just, what works for you as it relates to your definition of love. What is it? So that's what I want to hear tonight. What is your definition of love? So while you're thinking about it, while you're typing, I'll go ahead and share mine. So as I was thinking about this, I was like, you know what? The only thing that comes to mind is action. Like that's the only thing that I could think of when it comes to love. To me, love is an action word. And I just can't stress that enough, how important it is for me to act it out. It's one thing to say that I love someone and feel all the warm and fuzzies, but it's another thing when I don't feel like loving and I do it anyway. So let me see what you all say. So Denisha says the love equals the decision to actively serve someone, meet their needs, and be committed to them. Yep. To me, love is definitely an action word. So Simone says 1 Corinthians 13. Yep. That has definitely the definition, a great definition of what love is. Love is patient, love is kind. So it definitely gives you some good words to use as it relates to love. But some people, have their own definition. So I want to hear from you. What is love to you? And like I said, for me, it's just action. That's the only way that I can describe it, that it's an action word. Okay. And so while you're still typing in your definitions, I want to ask y'all a question. So, what about those times when you have to have tough love conversations? So, whether it be in a relationship or whether it be with a family member who you say that you love, how do you have those difficult, challenging conversations? I find, and I'll just share mine while you're thinking about yours and typing yours, that is one of the most challenging things for me to do, because the way that I'm wired, I love just, happy go lucky. I like when there's peace and harmony and everybody's getting along, and I like it to be comfortable in relationships. But when you have to have those tough conversations where you have to be honest about how you feel and not sure how the other person is going to receive it, but you know that if you don't have this conversation, it's going to change how you deal with this person. Like, how do you do that? How do you have tough love conversations? So tell me about that in the chat. Share with me what works for you. And what works for you. Hey, Deborah. Hey. Come on in. So we're just talking about our definition of love. And I just posed the question of, how do you have tough love conversations? How do you do it? And I was just sharing with everybody that it is challenging for me. Like, I had to have a tough love conversation today. And when I tell y'all, I was agonizing over this. Like, I'm in my head trying to figure out the words, trying to gather my words, figure out the best way to articulate what I want to say. I wrote it down and just like mulling over it in my head. It was agonizing. So much anxiety and worry, just all of that around, one, not being able to control the other person's response or reaction, and two, knowing that this was going to be a difficult conversation that I know I needed to have, but it was just uncomfortable. I guess that's the best way to say it. So I just want to hear from you all, and even if you're not in a relationship, what about family members? What about, one of your close friends? How do you have tough love conversations? That's what I want to know from you, and show love through it. Like, how do you do it and still show compassion and all of that kind of stuff? So share with me in the chat how you do it. So Erica says, yeah, it was hard, Erica. It was definitely hard. But I made it through it. We had a good conversation, and I was glad that I was able to get it off of my chest and share what I needed to share, because I'm the type of person who is very expressive, so I have to, if I'm feeling some type of way, I'm not going to be able to hide it. I'm not going to be able to mask it or, ignore it or pretend like I don't feel anything. Like, I have to share what's on my heart. So Denisha said, let's say someone I am actively loving hurts or offends me. I work hard to share what happened, define the situation, say how it made me feel using I statements and why. Yep, what were the triggers, and share the action, what I'd like to do going forward. Yep. That's so good, Denisha, because I know a lot of times, for us, when we are having tough love conversations, sometimes we just come straight out of emotion, and we're not really taking into consideration, one, how the other person receives information. Sometimes people aren't wired to handle all of the emotional stuff that we have to give. So we have to put some thought into it. Okay, how does this person receive information? How can I best articulate what it is that I'm trying to say? How do I deliver it in a way where the person doesn't feel like I am being critical or accusatory, or you did this and you did that? So I think, the I statements definitely help. This is how it made me feel when this happened, and just putting it back on me and owning the part that I play in it too. Because it's not like we're just trying to just make the other person at fault and not owning the part that we play in it. So I think involving us in the conversation, involving self in the conversation helps as well. So Denisha said, it helps if I process my feelings and internally first. Otherwise, I'm too emotional when I try to express myself. Absolutely. I'm with you, Denisha. It's the same for me, because I wear my emotions. I'm very sensitive, so I wear them on my sleeve. It's just how I'm wired. I understand that about myself, and I understand that everybody is not wired that way. So in order for me to gather my thoughts, to understand what I'm really feeling and what's going on, it's important for me to, process that internally so that I can get clear on what's going on. Because sometimes it's something that's going on with me that has nothing to do with the other person. But there are other times when it's something going on with me and I need to have a conversation with the other person, which is what was going on today. So yeah, tough love conversations. Hey, Kia Mason, how do we have tough love conversations? So Erica, you said, I'm glad you did it. Yeah, I'm glad too. I feel better, that I was able to at least share and just allow my voice to be heard and honoring my feelings. Because I think in a tough love conversation, it's important to honor how we feel. Our feelings are valid. So it's important for us to share what we're feeling, but also understand and be considerate of the other person's feelings as well. So feel free to chime in and share more things about that. How do you have tough love conversations? Another thing I want to talk about, though, since we're talking about love and, relationships, whether it be love, romantic relationships, or relationship with your family, I want to ask you this question. How do you handle overextending yourself? So one of the things that can happen when love is involved, when we're in a loving relationship, whether it's with our family or with a significant other, we can overextend ourselves. Like you just have this desire to give and just want to see the person happy and you want to see the person excel. And so you tend, or many of us, I'll talk for myself, I tend to overextend myself. And then I wonder why I run into a brick wall and get burnt out. Has anybody ever felt that way? Like, because you love, you overextend yourself. So if you can identify with those feelings, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with overextending yourself in a loving relationship? So Denisha says, yes, honoring our feelings is healthy self-care. Yeah, because I found that when I shut down and when I keep my feelings to myself, I don't feel good physically. Like it really impacts me physically. So it's important for me to really be honest and share my heart, because if I don't, then it's not going to be good for anybody. So okay. So Erica, good. I'm not by myself. So you said, yes, I do it all the time. So in those relationships, we tend to overextend. We tend to give because we want to see the other person happy. And sometimes it's at the expense of ourselves. So how do you deal with that? How do you find the balance? How do you set boundaries? Like, what do you do? Tell me what works for you. Because that's honestly something that I am still working through when it comes to love, overextending myself. Like, oh, as long as I feel like I have the capacity to do it, like, oh, I can do it, And then after a while, when I'm giving, then it's like, man, I am exhausted. I don't have anything else to give, because I'm not practicing self-care and taking care of myself and monitoring what I may be needing in those times when I'm overextending and giving to someone else, and being more concerned with what they need and almost to a sense of neglecting what I need. Okay, so Denisha, you said, I think I'm still working on that. Yeah, it's a tough one, especially for me. I'm 40, but I've been doing that for a long time, for as long as I can remember. So that's 40 years of overextending. So it's like I'm learning and getting tools to help me and going to therapy and just doing all those things to help me to understand what it looks like for me to practice healthy boundaries, so that's something. So it's important, or I want to hear from you all to see what you do. So Denisha said, it happened to me this weekend and I took an evening to do some healthy distraction for me, salsa dancing. Yes. And you are such a great salsa dancing sister. Yes. Yeah. And so that's good. So it's like, even if we are still working on it or desiring to improve in that area, self-awareness is one of the things that definitely works for me. When I realize I have reached that point, it's like, okay, all right, I'm about to shut down. I run into a brick wall. I run myself and overextended myself too much. So how can I, in this moment, practice self-care? And sometimes it means just tapping out. Like I just need to take a break from giving and just everything that I'm into, and just have a moment where I'm just, binging off a TV or just having some quiet time, meditating, like those are some things that helps me. But I really want to get to a point where I'm not almost tapped out. You know, I want to have those incremental practices of self-care so that I'm not so burnt out. So Rachel says, I honestly stay very distant and it is tough, but it helps me not get too crazy. Okay. All right, Rachel. So you said, when you say you stay distant, is it distant from people? Like, do you keep yourself guarded or protected? Let me know what helped when you say distant, just so I can make sure I'm clear on what you're saying. So Denisha said, it allowed me to release pent up stress and endorphins. And when I came back, I felt more relaxed. Right. Right. Yeah. I had one of those moments in therapy yesterday where I felt like where I really uncovered that I was just giving and giving and going and going, and just being in there, and my therapist just sitting and being with me and giving myself permission to be and not performing, because I am guilty of that too, where I just perform and just overextend and perform. And so just being in that therapeutic space of just being, like, there's nothing that I had to do. There's nobody that I had to be. I could just sit and be. And it was so relaxing not to have to do anything. So I needed that. And to have my therapist to model that for me, where he was like, you know, this is the space where you get to do that. So it was just what I needed. So similar to what you said, Denisha, I just felt really relaxed and calm. And so Trinae says, I went to yoga tonight. Yes, I had to do me time tonight, or I was going to hit somebody or something. Right, right. Yes, I understand. And I started doing yoga last year, and I haven't gotten back into it. But one of the things that I said I'm going to do, and I'm putting it out there for you all to hold me accountable, one of the things that I want to do incrementally is every Tuesday, I am going to take time for myself. So, and yoga is one of the things that I really enjoyed doing when I started it last year. So I really want to add that to my schedule. So hold me accountable. Every Tuesday, I want to do something in service of me, where I'm not giving and extending myself and doing all these things and going crazy, but I'm really doing something in service of me. So I'm putting it out there so y'all hear me. So if you hear me talk about doing work or doing something that's not in service of me on Tuesday, call me out on it. Okay. All right. So Rachel says, I'm honestly sitting here right now tapped out. Yeah, because this is real stuff. Like, we go and go, and then we wonder why we're irritated, why we're frustrated, why we're, mad at other people and all these things, because we're not giving ourselves what we need. We're not showing love to ourselves. So yeah. So let me see what y'all saying. So Erica says, I pull back when I feel this. I have to take some time to rethink what I'm doing and why. Maybe the person isn't demanding it, but I'm just going overboard. Me time helps a lot. Right. And that's what I found. Like, nobody's really demanding things of me. It's stuff that I'm picking up. Like, I'll do that. Okay, I'll do that. Like, it's just what I do. And for me, it's definitely in relationships. Like, I'll do that. Okay, you need help with that. Okay, I'll do that. And then I wonder why I'm so tired. Like, what? Ma'am, nobody asked you to do that. So yeah, Denisha said therapy is awesome. Yes, it is. It is amazing. Kia, you said, can you give a few ideas? Few ideas on what? I want to make sure I'm clear on give a few ideas. So Trinae said, yes to yoga Tuesdays. My day is Wednesday. Yeah. And see, I love Shabbat yoga, but I think they have hot yoga on Tuesdays. I'm not ready for the hot yoga. I don't want to die sitting in the yoga room. So I need to progress up to the hot yoga. So, but I love Shabbat yoga. So I want to get back there. Yep. I'm good for that. Yep. You know it, Trinace. You know it. My Tuesdays. Okay. So yeah. So some ideas that I want to do. I don't know. I think I just want to do whatever I feel like doing. One thing that I know I want to do for Tuesdays is yoga. That's one thing, because that helps me to get centered. It's on Mondays. Okay. All right. So one of the things that I know I want to do on Tuesdays is yoga. That's one of the things. I don't know if I'll commit to it every Tuesday, but that's one of the things, because it helps me get centered. Another thing could be just taking myself out to the movies, like whatever I want to do that makes me feel warm and fuzzy on the inside and like I'm feeling my love tank. That's what I want to do on Tuesdays, because quality time is one of my primary love languages. So if I'm not making time for myself, then I feel that. So I really, really want to be intentional about honoring myself and giving myself what I need. So yeah. So it's not going to be too scripted, because I don't do well with just always got to be like this, because that's going to make me feel like I'm not giving myself permission to just be. So I just know Tuesdays is going to be my day. That's all I know. Okay. All right. So Kia, baths, movies, a walk, whatever you like to do. Yeah. Yeah. Whatever makes you feel warm and fuzzy on the inside. Like, that's what I want to do. Something that makes me feel warm and fuzzy. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So I got some love questions, y'all. So we talked about tough love. We talked about overextending love. So I want to ask you the question: how do you know when you love somebody? Like, how do you know? What does it look like for you? And while you're thinking on that, I see Rachel just posted something. So she said, I don't ask to see the person I'm seeing. And when I do that, he asks to see me. When I am with him, I find myself doing lots of domestic work for him, and I'm just built that way. Yep. But when he isn't my husband, or technically my man, it makes me go through the negative self-talk that makes me feel dumb for doing such. And I'm also a nanny and a server at a restaurant. So I tend to want him to ask me to do fun things outside the house with him, but that doesn't happen often. And right now I'm feeling like I don't want to play house when I'm here. Being a nanny, I already play house for a living. Yeah. Yeah, that's tough, Rachel. And I get it. When you're naturally wired that way, it comes naturally for you to want to do those types of things. And I think that's where the boundaries come into play. Like, will you doing these things cost you more than you're giving? You know what I mean? Like, will you cost you your emotional health just because you are naturally wanting to give to this person? And not making it bad, not judging it, but just asking yourself, is this coming at your own expense? And if you find that you doing those things for him is costing you, like is becoming more expensive for you emotionally, then it's, maybe important for you to pull back and see how you can fill your love tank. Like, what would it look like for you to fill your love tank? Like, I've just acknowledged that on Tuesdays, it's going to look like me doing something for myself on Tuesday. So what would it look like for you to fill your love tank so that, you feel warm and fuzzy on the inside, and nobody is doing that but just for you? What would it look like for you? And so Denisha says, right, that's tough. You have to think about a balance and what you can do for you. Yeah, yeah. Because listen, I'm telling you that I understand, especially in terms of relationships with a guy, or, whatever situations that we have with a guy. There's a natural desire to just want to give. You see a need, like you said, you see something around the house that he may need support with or help with. It's natural for many of us to just jump in and want to help. So I get it. I totally understand. And so the question becomes, how can you fill your tank so that you don't feel like you are giving and then you're empty as a result of it? So that's the question that I would ask. And if you don't know what that looks like, maybe explore it. Like I'm exploring it, let's just explore it together and see what it looks like for us to make sure we're pouring into ourselves. So Rob says, go all the way in, ladies. With what? Go all the way in with what, Rob? What you saying? Tell us what you're saying. Okay, so we're talking about, how do you know when you love somebody? So what does it look like for you? How do you know when you love somebody? And just to answer that own question for myself, I think how I know I love somebody, when I can be with them even in their flaws. Like when I can see things that are not so favorable and I'm choosing to be there anyway. And still journey with them as they're being with my flaws. But I know when I have that enduring desire to just endure and weather the storm, no matter what we go through, that's when I know for me that, yeah, this is love. This ain't no infatuation. Because infatuation is like just a feeling. Okay, it feels good. And then as soon as that feeling is over, it's like, okay, yeah, I don't want to deal with you no more. But love, that's deeper. There's depth to love. And love is definitely when you can see their side that's not so pretty and you're still willing to be there. At least that's how I know. So what about you? How do you know? Come on in, chime in. So Denisha, Robert, from a male perspective, what are your thoughts about love? How do you know when you are in love? Yeah, that's a good question. So, Rob, how do you know? How do you know? What's your thoughts about love? Yes, yep, yep. So you with me, Denisha? Yeah, so Rob, chime in. What's your thoughts about love? So take the brakes off, don't hold back, show him everything, the good and the bad, and let him decide. So I hear you, Rob. I think the challenge with that is when we're running ourselves and we're pushing the pedal, we're pushing the gas pedal, and we're not taking care of our own needs. And sometimes we are giving, hoping that the man is giving us something in return. So I don't think that's a healthy way of going about it. Yes, you know, you can be open and you can give, but when we're doing it and not taking care of our own selves, that can create an unhealthy situation. And then that means we are depending upon that other person to give us what really we can only give ourselves. So I get what you're saying, but I think in some instances that can be dangerous emotionally for a woman if she's not in a good place with herself, if she's not taking care of herself, if she's not practicing self-care, and she's looking for that man to be something, then that can present an issue. So I hear you. I hear you. So yeah, so that's one question. So Rob, you gonna answer Denisha's question about love, your perspective? So while y'all are typing that, so we talked about how do you know when you love somebody. Another question I have is, okay, so he said about love. I know when I'm in love when I put her first in every situation. Okay. Yep, I got you. When you put her first. Yep. So when you start to really be concerned about what she needs, and putting her needs before your own, then that's when you know. Okay. So Denisha says, I know I'm in love when I'm thinking about the best interests of my partner, even in times when I feel hurt. Yeah. That's some powerful stuff. Yeah. And that goes back to even in those tough love conversations, like the one that I had today. I know that I was coming from a place of love because I was really wanting to say it in a way that wouldn't hurt him, or that I'm not saying anything from a spirit of, you know, being mean or being hurtful or anything. You know, I wanted to come from a place of compassion. So it took some thought and it took some really processing it for myself, but I knew that, you know, I was in love because I was thinking about this other person's feelings, you know, even when I was feeling some type of way. So Rob says, putting her first regardless. Okay. Yep. All right. So here's another question I have. Is there a such thing as love at first sight? Do y'all believe in that? Do y'all believe in love at first sight? Like, can you really experience love at first sight? What you think? So as I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna tell y'all this while y'all typing. Love at first sight. Can you really experience it? Yes, exercising compassion in every circumstance. Right. Because it's like, you know, I don't see him as just some dude, you know, that I'm with. I really see him as my friend. Like, how would I want to talk to my friend? You know, how would I want to share something with my friend? So it's important for me to, and that's how I know when I'm in love, because it's not just some dude. Because I've had instances, and I ain't gonna say that, but yeah, I've had instances where, you know, it was really about what the dude could do for me, and just really seeing him as more of an object of affection, as opposed to my friend. And so in this situation, I can honestly say that I see him as my friend. So I am careful and compassionate about how I'm being with him. So Rob, you said absolutely you believe in love at first sight. Tell us more about that. Like how, so for me, if I believe love is an action and love is depth and love is, I feel like love has to be developed, and it gets developed over time. So I'm struggling with the concept of love at first sight. Like, how is that possible? So enlighten me. Like, what does that even look like? So Denisha says, I think chemistry at first sight is a real thing, but love is everlasting and an enduring thing. So only time can tell if it's love or infatuation. Right. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Like, yes, you can have a a really just a connection that is really strong, and it makes you feel like, you know, it's something that is deeper than just surface. But is it really love? I guess that's my question. So Rob says, I knew I was going to marry my wife at my first date. That's in love. Okay. All right. So there was a knowing that you had, but did you love her, or was it just a knowing that I'm going to be with her? And so your love grew over time. I don't know. Okay. So, hey, Trip. So you said, I don't necessarily believe in love at first sight because pure love is so much deeper. But as a man and being a visual creature, it's a false sense of love and more physical. Right. Right. So maybe infatuation at first sight. Um, Okay, and that was my next question, Rob. So there is a difference between in love and love. And what is the difference? Because I don't know if I subscribe to that either. Being in love, like falling in love versus falling out of love. Like what does that even mean? Either you love or not. Like what? Okay, so Mo, you said no to love at first sight. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. So there's a difference between in love and in love. So what is the difference? What is falling in love and falling out of love? How is that even possible? If love is developed over time, if love is depth, if love grows, if love evolves, and if love endures, how do you fall in and out of it? Is that the right terminology? Are you falling in infatuation and out of it? Like, what y'all think about that? Hey. So what y'all think about that? Can you fall in and out of love? So Denisha says, my husband told me early on, this feeling is going to have some say. So he was feeling my vibe for sure. But now, years later, we are loving each other way deeper than a mere feeling. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. So it's just something, maybe there's a sense of knowing in the beginning, but then it really got deeper over time as you went through different things with each other and got closer to each other and deeper levels of intimacy with each other. So yeah, I don't know about falling in and out of love. I don't understand how that's possible. I feel like you can choose to love and then I don't know. So yeah, I'm waiting on y'all to tell me about this. So you can have general love for people. What grows from it is being in love with that special person. Okay. You can have general love for people. Okay. And what grows from it is being in love with that special person. So you're saying you can fall in and out of love. So you can be in love with somebody and then you fall out of it. Like, well, how do you? I don't know, Rob. You got to give me some more information on that. I don't. Okay. So Mo says things change, people change. Yeah, they do. Yep. So, okay. Well, y'all continue to chime in. So that's one of our questions. So, I'm gonna keep asking questions, Rob. I'm trying to understand this. Trying to understand. So here's another one. How long does it take before you know you love somebody? So typically, how long does it take for you before you knew? So Rob said he knew on the first date with his wife, or with his now wife, that she was going to be his wife. So he knew right away. But so how long does it take for you to love somebody? I'm throwing shade. Okay. So how long does it take for you? And I'm sure it varies depending upon the person, but just typically, how long does it take for you? So Trip says, I think you can fall out of intimacy and wanting to be with that person anymore because of their actions, but I think you will always love if you once loved them. Okay, I got you. Now that makes sense to me. You can fall out of wanting to be intimately connected with them, but you can still have a love and regard for them, even if you don't want to be closely connected. I got you. Yeah, now that makes sense. I got you, Trip. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with me. I'm going to love this because yes. Thank you. Because that helps me to understand. All right. Okay, so how long does it take you before you know you love somebody? How do you know? When does it become real for you? So love grows over time, so it can dissipate as well. Yeah, yeah, it can. It can dissipate. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think that kind of goes along with what Tripp said. Yeah, you can just choose to like, yeah, this isn't really vibing with me anymore. So I'm just choosing to go a separate way. And I guess looking at it that way, you can call that falling out of love. Um, all right, y'all good. This is fun. Y'all enjoying this? I am. It's so hard to quantify. Yeah, yeah. So it's probably, let's go to the next question because it is hard to quantify. It just depends on the person. So, okay, let me ask you this question. So, if you had a child, or if you have children now, or if you're thinking about having children, what's the first thing you would teach them about love? That's a good one, right? Like with your children, either current children or current children that you desire to have in the future, what's the first thing you would teach them about love? What would you teach them? When I saw that question, I was like, oh, that's good. Like, what's the first thing you teach a child about love? Y'all chime in because I don't even know. Like, what's the first thing that you teach them? So after the 4 seasons of the year, you can see someone in different times, so that so if you still are loving them after a year, then it could be a lasting thing. Yeah, yeah. I love the 4 seasons. Pastor Marshall talks about that all the time. The going through 4 seasons with the person so that you can really get time to understand and get to know them. So Tripp says it takes me a while because I really look at the person's character and I do value it. Okay, yeah. So for many of us, it just takes time as you get to know someone, and yeah, so it just takes time. So for this question that I just asked, if you had a child or you have children, future children, what's the first thing you would teach them about love? So I'm still thinking about this one. I think the first thing that comes to mind, I think, is just that love. How do I want to say it? Love is present. Like love is like, no matter what they do, I'm still going to love them. So love is enduring, I guess. Love is everlasting, so that they'll know that mommy loves me no matter what. And so what that means for them is that it is possible for them to love, through tough things. So that's the first thing that comes to mind for me. So Denisha says, first thing about love is listening with patience. This is how you honor a person's heart. Yep. So Ali says that it's unconditional, no color, race, or creed. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Hey, cousin. So you said pay close attention to everything. Don't fall so easy. Take your time. Okay. Yep. Yeah. So when I think about children, especially when they do something that is unfavorable, when they make a mistake, when they do something that maybe I've told them not to do, I think for me that would be an example of love, where I'm loving them anyway. They may have some consequences for their actions, but them being wrong does not prevent me from loving them. So even in life, when they are going through life and they make a mistake, that they can still love on themselves. When they have friends or family members that make mistakes, they can still love on them. Like, just, I know for me, being wrong is or having that critical voice in my head is such a huge thing. So showing love and knowing that even when you do something wrong, or even when you make a mistake, you're still worthy of love. So that's what I would want them to know. So Tripp says, first thing I showed my daughter about love is that love communicates and listen. I love that. So we have two that talks about the importance of listening in love. Yeah. And that's so important because, especially with kids, and even as us as adults, we want to be heard. Kids especially want to be heard. They want to know that somebody is listening to them, that their voice matters. So I think that is beautiful, that communication is important, and listening. Mm-hmm. This is some good stuff. Thank y'all for chiming in. So feel free to share more of your thoughts about what you would teach your child. So here's another question I have. what's the difference? No, we already talked about that. So let me see this. Okay, so let me ask you this question. What makes you feel most loved? Like when do you most feel loved in a relationship, whether it be with a romantic partner or in your family or with your friends? When do you feel loved? Like what are some things that people do to make you feel loved? Okay, so Ali says it's the act you don't always love them. Uh-huh. Right. Okay. Right. So it's the act that you don't like, but you always love them. Gotcha. Right. Right. And just teaching them that there's a difference between the two, that they are not the action. But so there's a separation. So yeah, I like that. It's the action. It's not them. Yep. I love that. Great questions. Thank you, Trip. Thank you. I love this kind of stuff, having these interactive conversations, things that make us think. So what makes you feel loved? What makes you feel loved? So I'll go while y'all talking. So what makes me feel loved? One is quality time, because that's one of my things. And words of affirmation. I am a big words person. Like if you tell me how beautiful I am or how wonderful I am, I just eat that up, honey, because I am a words of affirmation girl. I love just being affirmed. I love to know that I'm appreciated. So I feel loved in that regard. What else? Nice acts of kindness. Like I really love when somebody goes out of their way to show me that they are thinking about me, or just do something out of the ordinary. Those kind of things make me feel loved. And good stimulating conversation, like, woo, I think, what you call that? A sapiosexual. Yep. When my mind is stimulated, oh, yep. I'm feeling all the love. Yep. So Mo says physical touch. Okay. All right. Physical touch makes you feel loved. Gotcha. What else, y'all? What makes you feel loved? What makes you feel loved? Share your thoughts with us, because I want to know. Because you know why that question is important. It's important for us to know what makes us feel loved, so that we, like I was saying earlier, can learn how to give that to ourselves. Yes, it's beautiful when you experience it in a relationship, but I'm learning that it's even more beautiful when we can give it to ourselves. Like, me taking a time out, me going to therapy, me journaling and just meditating. Like that shows me that I have the capacity to love myself. Which really makes me feel love. And then I have more capacity to give love when I am doing things that makes me feel loved for myself. Then I'm even more able to give it to other people. So Tripp says, the way that woman looks and smiles at me, all right now, I know that's right. Ooh-wee. Okay. So Denisha says, definitely feel love with words of affirmation and physical touch. Also, when we disagree, if my partner actively listens and validates my feelings, I'm super in love. Right, Denisha. It is a beautiful thing. And I just had this experience today. Like I told y'all, I had a tough conversation. But when my partner made me feel like he understood me and not condemning me or not judging me for the way that I felt, and that he could just listen, see it from my perspective, share from his perspective, and that we can have that common ground, or that commonality where we're like, okay, we're listening to each other, we're understanding each other, and it's like, okay, all right, we hear each other, and that is like, woo, that's a beautiful thing, because it's already hard when you have to bring up something that's challenging, but when you can be mature about it, and when you can I don't know. I don't even know another way to say it, but just really be mature and let the person know that you're hearing them, that you understand, you're not being defensive about it. You're like, okay, yep, I see where you're coming from. I got you. I hear you. That's a beautiful thing. So, and so Tripp says, the way she stimulates my mind and rub my bald head. Ooh, yeah, I know that's right, Tripp. Get it? Yeah, she better stimulate that mind. That rubbing that bald head can get you in some trouble. Go ahead now. I'm here for it. Go ahead. That's beautiful. Yeah, so y'all hear that, ladies? So the men like their head rubbed. this one, and then they like their mind stimulated, they like physical touch, so pay attention, ladies, take some notes, and men, pay attention to what we're saying too. We like words. Many of us like words. We love when you listen to us. We love all that stuff. So pay attention. These things help us, y'all. Help us. They're helping one another. I was trying to clean it up. It didn't come out right, but yeah, you get the point. Okay, so let me see. One more question. So we talked about how you like to feel love. What are some ways that you give love? Like what are some things that you do to make other people feel loved? So Ali says honesty, encouragement, and when she listens to and understands me, and her actions show that she understands. Right. So you know what I'm picking up on for some of these comments? Listening is so important. So I really want us to get that when we listen to each other, it's so important. And it's also important to communicate with each other and feel understood by each other. So that's another thing that's coming out of this conversation tonight, on both sides. So y'all hear the men saying they want to be understood and listened to. The women are saying they want to be understood and listened to. So I think that's something that we need to take from this conversation, the importance of listening, and not just listening to hear so that you can give feedback or that you can give your point of view, but really listening to understand, where is this person coming from? What could they possibly be going through to help me to understand them better? Like what does it look like? What does life or the world look like from their point of view? Because sometimes we can get so stuck in how we see it, but how do they see it? Like, what is their experience like? What has shaped them thinking this way? What's their thought process? So really seeking to understand, not listening to respond, but listening to really understand what people are going through is so important. That's one of the things that I am always trying to find out. Like, and I probably say this a lot, like, help me understand. I really want to get it from your point of view, from your perspective, because I'm not trying to just see the world my way. I really want to know, how you think. Well, what are your thoughts about this? Help me, So, hey, Danisha. Yeah. So, so that's so important. So thank y'all for sharing that. And then, so the last question that I just asked was, what's the main way that you show love? What's some of the things that you do to show love? And I think one of those things for me, I really like to listen to people. Like, I really like to show love by letting people know that there is someone that wants to hear what they have to say, because I know how it feels to not feel heard. So if I can just be that listening ear, like that's how I enjoy showing love, and just allowing people to be themselves. Like, that's one of the things that's important for people to just be. Sometimes people are so critical or feeling like they should do this and they should do that. And one of the things that I like to do with people is just let them know that, hey, I want you to be who you are. So I think one of the ways that I show love is just through acceptance, just through accepting people just as they are. So Denisha says, I make an effort to be a partner that listens attentively, validates, encourages, initiates physical intimacy. Hello. Okay. So, right. That's a whole nother Facebook Live. We need, initiates physical intimacy, and not just waiting on him to do it. Okay. I'm gonna get off of that, but that's a good topic. Verbally affirms publicly and privately, laughs and smiles lovingly, and always finds a way to take his side, even if he is in the wrong. Girl, you talking some good stuff now, honey, because that's some good stuff. That is love at its finest. I love it. So Tripp says, some of the ways I give love is by listening and acknowledging her feelings, respect her feelings, sometimes make adjustments to those feelings. Yes. Thank you, Denisha. I appreciate that. Thank you. So yeah, I love that. And Tripp, that's another topic too that I think we may have to hit on, because I love what you say, Tripp. So you give her love by listening and acknowledging her feelings. Honey, let me tell you something, man. If you take the time to acknowledge her feelings, anytime a man or anybody, it doesn't even have to be a man, but when you're talking to somebody and they make you feel wrong for the way that you feel, like it's almost like they're trying to tell you how to feel, ooh, that ain't gonna go over too well. So when you are taking the time to acknowledge, like, okay, yep, I understand, I can see, and then maybe asking questions to get an understanding of how she feels and respecting her feelings, because her feelings are her feelings. So just showing respect for that. I love that. Ooh, you getting some brownie points. I hope she watching Trip and reading all of this good stuff. And then you choosing to make adjustments to those feelings. Yeah. Because we can have feelings. Our feelings are our feelings, but they may not be based in truth, you know. So sometimes when someone expresses themselves and sharing how they feel, if you share, you know, what's really going on, that may help too. But the worst thing that someone can do is just to dishonor your feelings, make you feel wrong about the way that you feel, turn it back on you, and just make it seem like something is wrong with you for feeling that way. Like, whoo, that's a recipe for disaster. So yeah, so honoring people's feelings, respecting their feelings is so important, and just acknowledging that. So thank you, Trip, for sharing that, because that's huge. You are getting some brownie points tonight. All right. Okay. So hey, Talea. So y'all, this has been so good. I love y'all for chiming in and having this conversation with me and just joining in the discussion, because it's Love Month. It's all about love. So this is what we're going to talk about all month in some way, shape, or form. So we started it off good tonight. So Ali says, by not judging her, being kind and patient, always supporting her and comforting her when she's hurt down, or just having a bad day, telling her she's beautiful, oh, and how much I appreciate and love her. Oh Lord, y'all men doing some good work. Let me tell you, this is some good stuff. And ladies, I want you to know, and I'm so glad these men are chiming in, because there are a lot of ladies that are like, well, wait a minute, that do all of this at. Well, they're on here. Yes, they are in relationships with other people, but it's just an example that there are a lot of good men out there that care about our feelings, that want, you know, to take care of us, that want to be there for us. So yeah. So thank y'all, man, for chiming in and just sharing, you know, what you do and how you give love and how you receive love. Because I think it's important for us to know that there are some good men out there. And it just seems like we need to have these conversations. This may be some more topics. One topic, I guess, could be like how you love a woman, how to love a woman, and get some men on here so that we can talk about that. So stay tuned. If I reach out to y'all in your inbox and ask y'all to be guests on my show, don't turn me down, okay? Because y'all chiming in some good stuff. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, y'all. So this has been a great conversation. I love y'all. Thank you for sharing, for commenting. Like I said, this is going to be Love Month. So next week, next Wednesday, my sister Talea, who just chimed in, she is going to be on, and we are going to be talking about some good stuff about love as a single, opening yourself to love again, especially after you've been divorced. So we're going to hear her story of how she is now opening herself to love again, and what she's doing in this single season of her life, and to prepare herself, you know, for love, and what she's doing to enjoy herself in the process. So we're going to talk about all of that next week. And honey, let me tell you, it's going to be a good conversation. So I'm looking forward to having my sister on. Thank y'all for tuning in. Please spread the word about relationship conversations. I do this every Wednesday, and I just want to have this type of dialogue, real discussions with real people talking about real stuff. So thank y'all so much. So Denisha says, yes, how to love a woman, upcoming topic. Yes, I'm going to write that down, because I think that's so important, and we can get some guys to chime in on that so that we can know that men do exist that know how to love a woman effectively. Okay. Everybody's not out here playing games. Everybody's not out here with toxic kind of love going on. There are some people that know how to love and are doing it. Okay. All right. So with that being said, thank y'all. Love y'all. And I will see you next week. Night, night.